That's footage of the first atomic bomb detonated over the Japanese city of Hiroshima on August 6, 1945. The second exploded over the city of Nagasaki 3 days later. This week, we mark the 77th anniversary of those attacks, arguably the most significant events of the past 100 years, and perhaps in all of human history. The atomic bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki are seen as tragedies, rightly so. Over 200,000 civilians died in the blasts or from radiation poisoning. And the attacks created a nuclear age in which we live with the knowledge that for the first time, mankind has the capability to destroy all life on Earth. But there are other ways to think about these events. And one is this. It is easy to judge the implications of an action taken, much harder to assess the consequences of an action that is not taken. Remember that the atomic bombs were largely the results of research and work created by Jewish scientists, including Einstein, Bohr, Oppenheimer, and many more, who were concerned that German physicists under the Nazi regime were also working toward nuclear fission, and that if the Allies didn't first develop nuclear weapons, it might be that Hitler would have had them at his disposal. It's true that after Germany was defeated, some of those scientists opposed using the atomic bombs on Japan. But the U.S. government had other concerns, arguing that using them would bring a quicker end to the war, perhaps saving the lives of hundreds of thousands of American servicemen who were to take part in the invasion of Japan, as well as the many Japanese who would die in that battle as well. Well, someone who certainly felt this way was an American soldier named David Mandel, who was shipped out to the Philippines in the spring of 1945 and was set to be among the first wave of troops landing on Japanese beaches as part of Operation Downfall. Years later, Mandel would tell his son that his life was likely spared by President Harry Truman's decision to use atomic weapons against Japan. And I am that son who early on learned a lesson about the moral complexity of the decision to drop the atomic bombs. It's also true that the development of atomic weapons created the Cold War between the US and the Soviet Union, but perhaps also prevented an all-out World War III between them. Russia's retention of nuclear weapons may have given Moscow the confidence this year to invade Ukraine, but also may have prevented it from becoming a much wider conflict. And Israel's alleged possession of atomic weapons may be motivating its mortal enemy to do the same. But David Ben-Gurion's decision to initiate a nuclear program here may be the reason the Jewish state is still standing after decades of wars and threats. So, easy to judge an action taken, much harder to assess one that wasn't. Now, I have no answer as to whether it was right for the United States to use atomic weapons against Japan and thus bring the war to a quicker close. But I do know one thing. The reason I'm even here today to contemplate that question is because that decision likely saved the life of an American soldier named David Mandel back in that fateful summer of 1945. So let us mourn this week for the deaths of the many Japanese who died in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and also bless their memory, while we are left to wonder if their tragic sacrifice saved many more lives in the years to come.